Today.
Good.
Lady that just popped up here is one of the Japanese surgeons, and they are extremely polite, so I guess she didn't want to come and barge on that, but very nice lady. As Gabe said, we're Arbit 2's on right now. They're finishing up the day shift. I was on for about the first 4 hours of the shift, and then I'm filling in for another GC that came in around 11. It's been a fairly busy shift with onboard activities, a lot of fluid experiments, exercise going on, and a few miscommunications on which cables connected to what on board. So it was sort of an interesting 4 hours while I was on there. But things are quiet now. They just had their last conference with the crew for the day. In fact, it's very unusual this time of day to still have video from inside the space station coming down. Once we transition past the crew's workday, you know, that magical time when if they were down here on Earth, they would get in their car and drive home. We turn the space station into their home and we don't look inside. So there must be something going on that's extending a little bit along while we still have video. But sometime in the very near future, the young lady over in the far corner, the Cronus operator, will send commands up to the space station that will reconfigure that downlink to a camera looking at the outside of the space station. So we're a treat today. In a few minutes, about 15, 18 minutes or so, the Arbit 3 team is going to be coming in. So this team's been on since 7 this morning. Arbit 3 will come in and they will take the crew through their sleep period. At 11 p.m. tonight, we'll have the Arbit 1 team come in who will wake up the crew and start them on the next work day they have. Anybody have any questions so far? The building that you're in right now, this was one of the original 2 control rooms that was built in the early 60s. The room directly above us was the first room to see operation. It did its final checkout in March, April of 65 for the Gemini 3 mission. And then in June of 65, it was used to support the Gemini 4 mission, which also featured the first spacewalk by a U.S. astronaut. So June 65, that room went into operation. We celebrated our 50th year a couple of months ago of support of human spaceflight. So these were the first 2 rooms. This room used to look exactly like the room above us. When you go up there, if you saw the movie Apollo 13 or remember a lot of the Apollo footage, you'll recognize that room. It's still in the Apollo configuration. We also have a couple of other control centers and control rooms and some what we call op suites down the hall. In the new wing of the building that was put up in the 1990s, we finished off the last 15 years or so of the space shuttle program down there and started off the ISS support down there. We moved ISS into this room in October of 2006, so we've been supporting ISS out of here since that time. Over the next few months, we're going to move the ISS support down to what was the old space shuttle room, which has been upgraded to what we're calling the MCC-21 configuration. And then while they're supporting down there, we will tear all the consoles out of this room and revise it into that same configuration. And then they'll eventually, sometime early part of next year, middle part, come back down here and resume operations from this room. So yes, ma'am.
When does Houston take over from after launch?
During the shuttle program and everything prior to that, Houston took over as soon as the Cape